that's the biggest thing. And the curriculum will partly be driven by their enthusiasm and their interests. So it's not a set curriculum right now. We definitely have skills that we'd like them to learn along the way, but we are trying to find their passions and link that to what we're doing in here. So the first thing that we're doing today is asking the students, what would you like to make in this space, knowing what's here, which we'll talk about a few of the things. And they've already started brainstorming over here on the wall. And we're telling them that even if you don't make it this year, you might learn some of the skills that will help you to make something that you're passionate about in the future. So this is like the beginnings of anything with the kindergartners, from using really basic tools that are the smaller sizes, starting them with that, sewing by hand in kindergarten, to where eventually they'll be able to use a sewing machine in the upper grades, where they can even use conductive thread and LEDs, and they can basically have textiles that light up.
Oh, cool.
So you're incorporating circuitry along with the sewing. We will have basic circuits with them, so just learning the components. These attached to Legos, these are called Little Bits. These were designed by a female engineer. So these are really friendly for the younger kids because you can't get them wrong. So they're magnetic, so a lot of the supplies, you know, we're definitely thinking. So this is a buzzer, which is a little... but then you can say, okay, you don't want the buzzer on. This is pretty much what I'm going to tell them in a minute, so you're going to have to sit through this twice. So then you can put in, and again, you go through the components and see how does it fit together. That doesn't work. Okay, that works. This is right. You can put your buzzer back in, and this time it takes a pressure sensor to turn it on. So they'll learn basic circuitry and what would you do with circuitry. Fifth graders will be doing things like soldering. We may do it younger and younger. We're going to test out some of the more dangerous things with the fifth graders, and we'll work our way down. Although I do have a now second grader who actually soldered these as a first grader. Oh, wow. So, you know, so we'll work with really basic materials, things like cardboard and paper and Legos, and then as we build our skill set, you know, the first graders could even use the hot glue guns as we go. We have power tools. We'll work up to power tools. With the robots, we have fifth graders are going to actually build these from the ground up, whereas a kindergartner can program this robot, both through an app, but they can also just stand in front of it with a device hooked to the front like a phone or an iTouch, and they can move and the robot will mimic their movements. This is another robot that we're going to be using, and we'll use this at the kindergarten level. This is called an Ozobot, and right now it's calibrating. It will follow a given path like we have here, but they can actually design. They'll design on paper with markers, and it'll be their beginning to coding. So they will go through and they'll learn what the different combinations mean. So in this case, the red and the blue on the end means turn around. So when the robot gets to the end, if it's calibrated, it will turn around when it gets to that pattern. Cool. So they'll learn the patterns, and then from here they can go to an app that's connected with the Ozobot, and they can actually code it on the computer. So they'll start with markers, and then they will go to where they're doing it on a computer, and kindergarten will be able to do that.
So they create their own code, and then the robot will be able to...
Yep.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's another project. Probably won't use, we might use this in kindergarten. This is basically like a, why do I keep blanking? I did this before. A controller where you can connect the wires, hook it up to a computer, and you make your own controller. You can touch Play-Doh, anything that's conductive, and that becomes the button for the direction in which it's going. It's called Makey Makey. You can put bananas, you can do it with water, all kinds of different things. So we would probably, this would probably be a little later. You can make musical instruments with it. You can actually connect it to artwork, and you can move along the artwork with a pencil, and you can make your artwork kind of sing, which is really neat. The 3D printer, we're going to kind of establish as we go how we use the 3D printer, because 3D printers take a while to print. So More realistic would be to have a laser printer in here, which we'd like to get, and then we could have the students designing and then send the information to the laser cutter and cut faster. And then we can piece it together like a puzzle. We have the Rig-a-Majig behind you, which is basically like a giant set of Tinker Toys. So they'll be building with that. We want them to collaborate in here. That's the biggest thing. The culture in here is going to be collaborating together, working on projects. There are no bad ideas. Somebody has a bad idea, see if we can help them with that idea to make it something that we can actually make into a reality. There's a Build It Together station that I'll switch out probably monthly. Right now it's a Lego station. You can't take anything apart. You can only build in this section. Then we'll switch it out with a Take Apart station. So once they have basic skills of using tools, I have a 5 CD disc changer up there, Mrs. Antoine's coffee maker, some phones. So they'll actually take the things apart and see the inner workings of things. So that will be, we'll have Build It Together and we'll have Take It Apart together and see, can we take the parts out and make it into something different. Lots of craft supplies. In October, we're going to try and do the World Cardboard Challenge, which it was inspired by Kane's Arcade, which was a 9-year-old boy who basically built this arcade in his dad's shop in the summer. And so we'll be doing some things with cardboard inspired by him and the cardboard that's been from all of our construction here. What else?
And he built the whole arcade out of cardboard.
Wow.
We already have had a student in 1st grade who came in today. I told his mom about Kane's Arcade on visitation because she showed me a picture of a mask he'd made out of cardboard. And I said, has he ever seen Kane's Arcade? And she said no, so she typed it into her phone, went home, and he's already made an arcade. So he brought a video.
Wow.
He brought a video. So since Monday night, he has made a cardboard carnival at his house.
That's
He's
awesome.
got tickets
That's
and
awesome.
everything.
Tickets in the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. So
You have green screen over there?
green screen. We have a green screen. I was actually just talking to the Spanish teacher about a project that she would like to possibly integrate in here, where she's not quite sure what which direction she's going to go, but I'll be able to support the homeroom and enrichment teachers with projects that maybe aren't doable in their classrooms just due to supplies. So I've already had a lot of teachers come in and ask for different things. The kindergarten teachers have asked for 2 different things. I'm hoping that we'll do them this year. One would be integrated with our Pete the Cat stories. So we would be doing sewing of Pete the Cat and sew on the buttons and sew on and make puppets or something like that with sewing. And then they'd like to make birdhouses in the spring so we can work on woodworking skills. But it's been nice. Claudia and Kathy have said, don't over plan. So there's not a set curriculum that I could say, hey, here's what we're going to do this year, because I think the curriculum's going to evolve
I think it's cool that it's organic.
as we go, and it's organically going to just kind of fall into place. Sitting here and looking at all their ideas, I kept thinking like, wow, they're really into robots. Like every level 1, there's this fabulous robot, but let's see what else we can do with that, because that is something that's inspired all of them. So I don't have like a set written down thing, but it's working on the 21st century skills, so collaboration, communicating, leadership, problem solving. So those are the things we're really working on, and I think this space also allows them to create their space. Everything's mobile, it's all on wheels, it tucks in, so if we want to make like a nerdy derby racetrack in here and the kids are all making cars, we can stretch everything out and have a racetrack in here. So it's really flexible, and again, it's their space. They're gonna generate the curriculum.
What are those pulleys for?
So we have power coming down from the ceiling, so that if we did move tables here, they could sew right here instead of being up against a counter. They could solder right here. Whatever we need power for, they'll be able to work in various places in the room. So we want them to get confident with tools, trying new things,
See this grid there, is this like to hang stuff from potentially?
Yes, so we'll hang some things there. We'll eventually, we have thoughts of the green screen here, but once we got the portable green screen, I thought, well, maybe we don't need it.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't
That was a lot more
need the
flexible.
green screen.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some different lighting that's going to come in, so if we are filming, we have basically versatility. I mean, we could have pulleys up there,
Yeah.
various things. I know that when we kind of were getting ideas for this space, and we had some students last year try out some projects. You know, there was a student that made a zip line for her stuffed animal. Well, now you could start it up here
Yeah.
and come down. So it just gives us more flexibility. The walls are eventually going to have paint that's writable on it, and we've used the windows as our whiteboard for now. They're just making their mark, going along with the campaign of Make Your Mark. So they've all kind of made their first mark in the space, but eventually these will be used for their brainstorming, so they can work as a group. We'll also use the outdoor space, especially something like the rigamajig. We have 2 rigamajigs, so they'll be able to build outside. So that we've had kids make cars with those, things that look like motorcycles. You can build things to climb inside of, and some things will be really open-ended, where here you go, here are the materials that you can work with today, what will you make? And everybody should come out with something different. And then other times where there'll be a little bit more direction, where we're really looking for them to walk away with a certain skill set from that project. So, does that give you guys
Awesome.
a
Yeah.
picture of?
Thank you.
But so the structure of each class will be a little bit different, and that so because
Yes.
I was going to ask, will it be most of them building one thing together, or will they be doing things more independently?
It'll
But
vary
be
throughout the
different.
year.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be, I see the space, even we were making Scribblebots, which will be our first, you can pull your Scribblebots out, our first project with a lot of the classes. You know, depending on the difficulty of the project, they'll work with 1 or more kids. This is one of the first projects they'll be doing in here, which this one, when you turn it on and the marker caps are off, it takes off and makes patterns. And so you can challenge the older kids, can you make a circle? And so we will place the paper right on the ground, and
They can let it go.
just let it go. So a lot of things that it's just, you know, okay, you've got this and that made really cool lines, but can you change things? Can you modify it? Can you make it do something different? Can you make it just turn left and make circles? Or
And it's by programming it.
this one
No,
right
this
here
is
is mostly focused on just basic circuitry.
Oh, okay.
For this one, yeah. This one would be more of the programming, the Ozobot here. Yeah. And so we'll be doing coding in here. Again, this would be the basic coding. We have Lego We Do also, which is basically a Lego robotics, but at a really young age. And I know you were focused on kindergarten. I think we'll be able to use them with our kindergartner. Kindergarten
How
is
often
the year.
How often will a class be in here?
The
Because
classes
this is
come.
K through 5, right? Is it in here?
It's K through 5, and they come for, it's a 80-minute block split between this space and the Library and Technology Hub. So there'll be 40 minutes in here, 40 minutes next door. But again, we'll probably have flexibility with that, but it makes it small classes. So the entire class, K through 5, will fit around these desks that we're around right now. 5th grade, we had about 15, I think, in here earlier, but most of the classes, you know, the kindergarten classes are tiny, so a half class, I mean,
7,
it's
8
just
kids, yeah.
delightful. So we can do a little bit more.
And the reason I asked that question
with
is
each of those.
generally tours are between 9 and 1.
Right, right.
And I think this space, whether there's a 5th grade class in here or a kindergarten class,
Right.
a kindergarten family's going to be impressed no matter the age
right.
Of course.
of the grade level of the kids. Just
Right.
how often
Right.
between that 9 and 1
Right.
time space will kids be in here?
Well, I can give you.
Right,
You
I have
have.
the schedule, but the schedule shows the large blocks of time. So
Right.
so
They'll be in here that whole. So.
that whole time because
So when you look at my schedule,
I can
and there's a
forward the
big
schedule to
block,
That makes more for you guys.
just
Yeah.
split it in half. Like half the class will be in the first part of that
Mm-hmm.
block, and half the class will be in the second part of that block.
you. So during that time,
It'll be filled
someone will
with
be in
first
here,
graders.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'll do
Yeah.
is when if you can send me a copy of that,
Yeah.
is when I start scheduling
You'll try to
prime
make
it.
sure.
I'll make sure that
Yeah.
bring them in when they can
Right.
experience this.
Right.
Yeah.
And it won't be a quiet space. So if you
Right.
are bringing the little ones in, just so they know this is a space that it's not quiet in here.
Right.
And if it was quiet, I would think something was wrong.
Right.
You know, like this is
Right.
a space
Right.
where if they're not dirty and they're not, making
Making
noise,
noise.
then I'm doing something wrong. You know.
The scribble bot, is that what it's called? Is that all grade levels?
We're gonna. It's funny. We're modifying it for the younger kids. We've been practicing with toothbrushes, so battery operated toothbrushes, so that they don't have to wire them. But we're still modifying. I think we need to change our materials slightly to make it work. But basically, you need a vibrating motor
Right.
that is not centered.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to do for our first one, is have
Good
all of
idea.
them kind of doing something similar at various levels.
So this is the noodle from the swimming pool.
Uh-huh.
And
Right.
So we cut it, and then you put the toothbrush in here, and then turn it on. And it's attached to the markers here, and it's supposed to do the same thing, but we put it down, and it doesn't.
Creative.
It's not
Yeah.
moving. So
Yeah.
So we have
So, you know, some things
That's what
they'll
science
be
is all
doing
about, right?
the
Trial and error.
same projects, but at different levels.
Right.
When we do the cardboard challenge, it's a global cardboard challenge, and so we'll all be doing something with cardboard, but probably different levels. We
Right.
have rivets that combine, so the kids will be riveting together. It may be something, we're still kind of in the works of, it may be something that everyone contributes to, or they may be, each grade level has something slightly different. So again, we're learning as we go, and you're going to hear a lot of repeats. I
That's
apologize.
okay.
because
No, great.
a lot of
Thank you
and
so
there
much.
are extra seats if
Carrie,
you
the
want
twice
to
up to you.
sit.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does
No.
that? And if you have